Hudson's given us some things. Oh, there is. Oh, you know what? There actually is something I want to unironically watch, Ben.
What is it?
Let's look up our favorite YouTuber.
Who?
Synthetic Man.
Oh, which one? Which way? Did we watch this guy before?
We didn't watch him on stream, but we've talked about him. This is the guy that said that Fallout was wrong for having an interracial couple in the show.
Oh, this was this guy.
This is like the hardcore racist guy. This is the guy that doesn't consider Jewish people to be white.
Okay, so we can just trash on, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the trashing part of the stream where I really
welcome to the trash dump.
Let's
deal with GW and the business
here.
dealings, content. GW is like Wizards of the Coast with like D&D. If you know anything about them, like they hate their fucking fan base. Like they would rather shoot you in the back of the head and leave you in a ditch. They do not care. Like they are awful when it comes to like
what is GW on?
GW is Warhammer. Time to laugh at an idiot. This is gonna be so funny. I swear to God. All right, Ben, are you ready?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Gaming isn't dead.
Yeah, have faith in your brothers. Yeah. Everyone except him. I sense heresy from this one. He's corrupted. You can see it on his skin. I honestly can't believe it.
Wait, pause it for a minute.
So he opens the video saying the black guy
opens the video with racist remarks. Evil. That's crazy. That's insane. That's crazy.
This is Synthetic Man. By the way, Synthetic Man, he's a little bit sad. I'm not going to give him the mercy of pity, but like I don't think he's ever been with the woman. He's never experienced touch. He lives with his mom. He doesn't have a real job.
I live with my mother.
And all of his opinions are fed to him by his Nazi commenters.
That's crazy.
Like he repeats Nazi talking points, but he gets them wrong. Like that is how much he's like just regurgitating stuff. Is that he's like regurgitating the Nazi talking points, but incorrectly because he doesn't know what he's talking about, even when he's talking about racism. Which should be his bread and butter.
So I should probably just get out of the way first that I'm not the biggest fan of Warhammer 40k. I like the aesthetics.
Oh yeah, going into this, as he just admitted right now, he knows nothing about Warhammer 40k lore whatsoever. He barely... everything he knows is probably coming from Space Marine 2.
That's awesome. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, good to know for the rest of this.
Themes, you guys already know I like
keep that in mind.
Edgy, dark stuff. And all of the gore and senseless violence definitely appeals to my inner 12-year-old. That said, I am nowhere near an expert on the lore. Not that it really matters for this game, because there's really not that much story, but I just thought you should know that going in. I'm mostly just going to analyze this as a video game, first and foremost, and I think this game does a pretty good job at achieving the niche it's trying to fill. Mainly as a sequel to the first game, which was a cult classic from the PS3 360 era, and also just in general as a horde shooter, hack and slash hybrid game. I think it nails both of those aspects fairly well. Certainly not a flawless game. It definitely has a lot.
It sucks to be agreeing with Synthetic Man, but at least when the opinion is as simple as Space Marine 2 is a good game, I don't feel as bad about it.
It makes me want to uninstall Space Marine 2.
He is just a 12-year-old. Yeah, that is also true. I don't know how old he is. I think he's 26, 27-ish, if I remember right.
Than me? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It makes me not want to play Space Marine 2.
Yeah. Because there are people like him who are definitely also playing this game. Like we've said many times before, not all Death Corps of Krieg players are Nazis, but a suspicious amount of them are.
Now, it's kind of hard to describe this game. I'm just going to settle on saying it's a hybrid between Gears of War and Dynasty Warriors. You fight hordes of weaker...
I mean, I made a whole video about this, but it's not Gears of War at all. Like, it's Gears of War in the way that it's third person, but, like, does that make Shadow of War like Gears of War? You know? Like, it's Gears of War in aesthetic, but, I mean, Gears of War got its aesthetic from Warhammer. It's more God of War meets World War Z with the combat and the parry system and, like, the horde, the way you clear out hordes. Yeah. But
and the only thing it gets from Gears, as I've said before, is, like, the slow clunky movement. But it does that better than Gears.
Yeah. In Space Marine, you are the cover. Gears of War, you have to, like, play around cover and stuff like that. Space Marine, you don't really do that. I kind of is more like Gears in the PvP, especially like close quarters PvP, but out
Yeah,
in the main game,
but
it's not at all.
still more fun than Gears is. So
That is also the case.
You can
I don't know if you
easily
can tell,
carve
chat, but I'm a big
pieces with your
Gears hater.
chain sword, and
I
you can
know.
switch to third-person shooting at basically any time. Unlike Gears of War, there's very little cover-based shooting in this game, which is
Yeah.
definitely
So it's
a
not
good
like Gears of
thing.
War at all.
I hate cover-based shooting, and the melee combat might be even more simplistic than Dynasty Warriors, which is really saying something. I guess we'll start with the melee combat first. You've got light attacks, you can hold down the button to do a heavy attack, and that's pretty much the entire extent of your
I want to hear
combos.
what everything he has
You
to
also
say.
have a dodge
You want to
roll.
hear everything? I kind of only want to hear his, because I don't really care about him regurgitating the combat mechanics.
Yeah, but that's where you get the golden stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I mean.
I'm gonna bump this up then.
I was gonna say like speed it
Which
up
is
a
kind
little
of
bit.
comical to see this huge beefy-ass space marine do a Dark Souls dodge roll, which of course has invincibility frames. And perhaps even more importantly, you have
Why does he say that like it's a bad thing? The
What?
dodge roll has
Says what
invincibility
we-
frames. Like, why does he like? Why is that a bad thing?
They have invincibility from sucky.
Actually, you should actually be able to go invincible.
Yeah.
if you're invincible, why can't I see him?
That's what I mean. We would have skipped right over that. Yeah.
That's true. That's such a stupid. Why did I don't know why he said delivered that line like that.
which can deflect most attacks except for ones that are flashing red. And specifically, enemy attacks
thank
that
you.
flash blue when you parry them allow you to get a counterattack in with your pistol. The melee combat, although pretty
So fun
simplistic,
fact,
is
if
also
you
highly
pause it-
satisfying.
Huh?
Yeah. It's not specifically blue attacks. Any
Okay, so-
attack that isn't red that you parry gives you
can do
the
it, yeah.
opportunity to get it off. And not every blue attack when you parry it immediately also gives you that counter on the whip on their first
It's
whip
more
hit when
nuanced
it
than
shines
that,
blue.
but-
Yeah. But I'm just saying that it's like factually incorrect.
Yeah.
So
don't
just
have to
pointing
rip
it
him
out that
out.
he's wrong. I do.
I don't care about ripping him into him about the game mechanics because
do.
that's whatever. IGN is also going to get this wrong. I care
Yeah,
about
but
pointing out the
IGN
fact that
isn't-
he's just blatantly racist.
But IGN isn't fucking racist. Yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm only doing this because he's racist.
that's fair.
Yeah.
He opened the.
You know what I mean?
Opened the thing
He
saying the
opened
black
with
guy must be
racism.
evil.
So, he opens racism. So, yes, we're going to watch all 31 minutes of this. And yes, I'm going to rip every damn thing he
All
says
right.
to pieces. No, this guy's... He makes the most basic takes. And even the ones that he makes are wrong. Yeah, like, I know Titus never used the power fist in the campaign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? But you can't say that there's only 4 weapons. It's the same thing with the stomp combo.
he's just being
Right?
stupid. Yeah, but that's being like
No, that's what I mean.
excruciatingly nitpicking, even by my standards.
But he's being racist.
I know, but
Yeah.
he's not.
He's being racist. Are you defending a race? You saying that I should hold back on somebody who's being racist and purposely
not.
shoots women?
I'm saying I think you make
nitpicking.
the us ripping into him for being racist less powerful when you're being equally
No.
as like
No,
vitriolic about the number of
No.
melee weapons in the game.
no, I am because he's being racist. I feel like not going along the way lets him win. Yeah, like you gotta prove how stupid he is.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you leave out the stupid combos he does, I mean, just saying. You can keep
Okay.
going if you
To
want.
attack me, so
Yeah.
I could just spam the R1 button until I could execute them. And speaking of executions,
True.
much like the classic God of War games, there are cool, gory executions that you can.
Why does he
perform.
hold on? Why is he hold on? Why does he the classic God of War games, the newer God of War games have gory executions?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Field, or by using Titus's special combat ability where he goes into a rage mode and hits enemies to get health back.
I just-
now because this is
okay.
a 3-player
Pause it for a minute.
Huh.
Wait, no, so my issue that I keep going back to,
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with like, despite all the little nitpicking shit that I've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my issue is that he's reviewing the game on the like his title is misleading, and how he's portraying this video at the beginning is misleading. That's my issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's talking about Warhammer Space Marines 2, obviously. Yeah, and in a well-round, he's trying to talk about the full game, but he's talking only about the campaign, right? Yeah, and if he had like a section for just the campaign to talk about it, that would be fine.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just organized
You know what
kind
I
of
mean?
poorly.
Yeah, it's organized kind of poorly because not once does he mention that he's talking about the campaign right now, right? Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And if I was watching this not knowing anything about Space Marine 2 so far, I'd go in thinking, This is only a campaign game. There's only campaign missions. I only play as Titus, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with
That's fair.
watching the videos.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
We've watched.
Like, I mean, I don't care.
A multitude of his videos because I find them
I've watched.
stupidly.
I have
funny.
watched a lot of shitty people's videos because I am. It is interesting seeing their point of view. Yeah, Kyle,
Yeah.
have you ever thought about like slimming down your windows so maybe we could see everything on the stream?
I could. Well, it
I mean, I don't
normally
really
doesn't
care.
matter when we're watching the video. Like it's shaped for the video, not for the comments.
Oh, it should probably be shaped for everything. Personally speaking,
No, fuck
but
co-op
okay,
game.
never mind. My
It's
bad,
actually
Chad, my bad.
balanced around this mechanic, so you're not really going to miss the old style of getting all your health back. This game would be a complete breeze if you could. And I honestly think it's a really good change just because it makes you actually fear the special units. A strong Tyrannid can tear you to shreds if you don't time those parries and just button mash.
It's his like delivery of like sentences is weird
Yeah.
because it's like his tone betrays his words because he'll say something with the
Yeah.
tone of voice that says I fucking hate this change, and then in the video he says, "Oh, this is much better than the first game."
It's just
And it's like
my
a weird
big issue.
dialysis.
My
Not
big
dialysis.
issue so far.
Diatribe.
That's something that old people have.
Yeah.
It's my
I have
big
it too.
issue with everything. I don't have no fucking idea what dialysis is. My big issue with it is that everything he's saying, as somebody who's played the game, I'm in the awkward boats in terms of I can understand certain viewpoints. On some things I can agree over, and there are also things I disagree with as well. That's fair. We all have that with people. I'm
Yeah.
sure if I watched enough of his videos, I'd find things with him that I agree on. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? That goes for anything and anybody, right? I'm sure if I listened to it, talk to Hitler enough, I'd find at least one thing him and I could agree on. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Crazy
Awkward
sake.
boats in terms I can understand certain viewpoints. On the other hand, there's also things I disagree with. I mean, yeah, like we were talking about, like, yes, it's easy to agree that Space Marine 2 is a good game.
Yeah.
Because it calls back to a generation that we haven't really gotten this style of game in a while. We have, they just don't like them because they have black people in them. But like, or they have characters that have feelings, which is too much for them to understand, process, and handle, so they get mad at it. But it's like,
Yeah.
you can like acknowledge that and also acknowledge the rest of it's just stupid, which it is.
Yeah.
Starting off the video saying that this one black character must be evil because he's black is fucking insane. Literally.
Yeah, and again, it's making jokes like that. It's all about tone and stuff.
Why does he look so
Right.
disinterested? He looks so depressed in every single one of these clips of his stream. Probably because he is, if I had to hearken a guess.
I'd
Yeah.
imagine because he doesn't deal well with criticism, and I'd like to think that there are a
doesn't.
good number of people
There's a
that
video
just
he
shit
made
on him.
breaking down
Yeah.
because his channel started as him reviewing stuff he was genuinely passionate about, like Crash Bandicoot and old school PS2 games. But his fan base only cares about him when he does videos like this where he shits on woke in Fallout or God of War or whatever else.
Wait, that's
Yeah,
what
you
who
didn't-
said?
Yeah, at the very beginning when he says, "Oh, I think this one black space marine is committing heresy." That's him just saying that. Oh,
No,
yeah,
no, no.
this one black.
No.
Space
He
Marine's
says,
evil.
"I think this one space marine is going to commit heresy. You can tell by his skin."
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
literally just straight up being racist.
right.
I think
He
this
did,
black
yeah.
space marine is evil.
Yeah, that's
Because he's
what
black.
he said. Yeah, that was this whole point,
Yeah.
right? Which is why when I responded to your thing, I was like, I'm sure, like I watched his videos and I could agree with him about something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's you know what I mean. That's why. Well, that's Kyle. That's why I made the Hitler comment because I was, you know what I mean. I was responding to Big T over here, in the sense like I'm sure if I sat down and talked with Hitler enough that him and I could agree on something.
Yeah. He
Right?
thinks that
You know what I mean?
Ultramarine with black skin is corrupt. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the same thing as that guy we watched the Wolfenstein video from where he was like, "How come the villain is a white guy who's a Christian?" It's like, what? He's a villain because he's an awful person. It has nothing to do with him being Christian. Like that's not the game.
to do with
Like
his
BJ
religion.
Blazkowicz is also religious. Like it is wild. He said, trust me, he said worse shit. He is awful.
Is that story is like obviously how the story is supposed to feel,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like you're supposed to feel like you're shredding through everything. So him complaining about my bolter doesn't feel like it's doing enough damage. I'm like, dude, you're playing on the third highest difficulty.
It's also
You know what I mean?
bolter variants are still firing the same bolter rounds. I don't know why they would do more damage. The variant of them is that they have an underbarrel grenade launcher, or they have a different fire rate, or they have a different scope or something. It's not that it is a different gun, because the different guns do more damage, like a bolter sniper rifle, which fires a different round, or the last fusel, or something like that.
It's another fucking stupid take.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about before, like the heavy bolter isn't just like it has more ammo, but it does less damage. It does the same amount of damage as the bolter. It just fires ammo faster.
Yeah, it just fires ammo faster.
Yeah.
But also because shooting just wasn't that strong for roughly the first half of the game. But of course, as they drip feed more and more new weapon types, you slowly start to realize what the good guns are, and then it almost becomes the opposite, where guns are actually too powerful. I'd say the Meltas, which are basically shotguns, and 2 or 3 of the snipers are
What?
No, it was just when you just said some of those ones are too strong, I was like, the fuck are you talking about? They all have a downside. Like, you know, the biggest downside of the Melta when you're playing on high difficulties, you're getting swarmed.
Yeah,
right?
You're up close.
You know what I mean?
And he's talking about like the guns being less useful at the first half of the game. First half of the game is Tyranids. You're not supposed to be using your guns on the swarms. You're supposed to be using your guns on the elites, so you can thin out the swarms.
Yeah.
But
exactly. Well, I mean, then again, I also kind of tend to spray into the small swarms. That's just because I realized that there's too many. Like when I was playing by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
what doesn't is sitting back 100 yards and just sniping everybody from behind cover. There's no cover mechanic in this game, so the game really isn't designed around you just standing behind a pillar and headshotting everyone. That's what I ended up doing for the last quarter of the game. And
okay,
it was
pause it for a minute. So, I also kind of feel like it does. You want to know why? Especially with Chaos. So those motherfuckers will just teleport on you.
Yeah, they'll go. They will come to you.
Yeah. Again, but you only get snipers in the Chaos part of the campaign. Right?
By the way, when we did the campaign on stream, I carried the Lost Fusel as often as I could, and I still had a lot of fun with it. This is a thing as well with games, especially games like this. Like, if you're doing the most efficient thing, you're going to have less fun. Just do what is the most fun to you. Like, for me, the most fun I had in this game was picking up the Power Hammer and the Lost Fusel. And I played incredibly close range with the super powerful sniper.
What's the Lost Fusel again?
It's the Spartan cannon laser thing. The thing he's using.
Oh. So, like, and you know, for me, like, my most fun is rather, like, the heavy bolter.
Yeah.
Like,
stopping enemies
nothing stopping, nothing.
They will teleport behind you.
Chaos will literally teleport on top of you.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no point trying, like, if you're trying to snipe, with the Tyranids, a lot of them will just fucking, the little guys will swarm you.
Yeah.
If you can't thin out them fast enough, right? But like I would pick up the heavy bolter, like the charge gun, like the main one, not the pistol.
But basically, he's not having the reason he's not having fun in this example is because he's choosing to do like the most efficient, boring thing. Like if it's boring to you, pick up a different gun. Like yes, it's more efficient to use that, but why? It's not that kind of game, you know. Like it's a game where you pick. It's not like an RPG where you have to pick the most efficient things to kill the boss. It's like you do it your own way.
The only limitation on ammo is for the heavy weapons, which take both of your hands to hold. You can't refill those, and you lose access to your melee weapon, instead replacing it with a gun bash that is way weaker. And I really don't think the heavy bolter is strong enough to justify losing access to one of your most powerful tools. Especially if you get swarmed, then you have no effective way of getting your health back.
The heavy bolter
helps you. This is too much of a nitpick to really be worth complaining about, but I think the plasma pistol is just objectively the best hand.
Yes.
You shoot the fucking ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're getting swarmed, you shoot the ground. Yeah.
This is why I don't play video games anymore. Too many sweats. Like
that's what I always say to people, right? Yeah. It's like when I'm playing Overwatch with people, and they're like, well, it's like, because you know in Overwatch how you can pick your role, right?
Yeah.
Like for queuing. Yeah. And they like queue up and like, oh, I don't want to play tank. And I'm like, don't fucking queue as tank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can't handle people being mean because you're bad at the game and you don't want to improve, don't fucking play the game, right? You know what I mean?
I think you should be allowed to be bad at the game, especially if you're not playing ranked.
No. You should be allowed to be bad at the game, right?
Yeah.
But the thing with games like that is you still have to improve at some point, right?
I don't think you do.
Yeah,
If you're
so
having fun, like,
no. But if you just want to have fun and stay bad, then you can't get mad when people are being assholes,
I
right?
guess.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. That's how I look at it, right? Like if you don't care about improving, then you can't get mad when people are getting mad because you're ass, that's fine. Like
Yeah.
if you're just dicking around, you're having fun, that's fine, right?
I'd like
Yeah,
to also real quick
you can't get
glaze
upset
myself.
about.
My Space
Yeah.
Marine 2 review is half as long as this is, and I've said everything he just said in the first like minute of it.
I think the standard warrior units felt just deadly enough that if you weren't paying attention, you could easily lose half or more of your health, which was a really smart decision for
What
the
is
first
he
major
doing?
enemy type of the
He's-
game.
Hold on.
Because
Well, that's
Pause
just in
it.
the
early on
prologue,
when
so he
big
probably
boys
doesn't
show
know
up-
what he's doing yet.
I was doing better than that in the prologue, and I didn't even play the first Space Marine game.
I know, but he's bad at video
Yeah.
games.
Up, you can't just
Clearly.
smash melee and hope for the best. I think the burrowing snake enemy type was definitely the most annoying, as they could just pop out of the ground, grab your character, and then you lose over half
no
your
way.
health in a matter of
those
seconds.
flying
it did just give him
motherfuckers
the
are
flashing
horrible.
because your
red.
buddies could knock them off of you with enough damage or stagger. The Neurothorps were also a fairly annoying enemy type, these floating
Yeah.
head dudes that shoot psychic blasts at
Yeah,
you
those
from
are-
afar.
those are the most
But once you
annoying
knew to
people in the
focus
game.
them down early, they weren't too much of a problem. But just like the warrior enemy types, they're powerful enough to immediately demand your attention and focus them down, once again promoting teamwork. My least favorite enemy type was easily the little fungal spores that explode. These
Just
things
shoot
on
them.
veteran do way too much
Shoot them.
fucking damage. I can't imagine how
Yeah, just
annoying they
shoot
are
them
on the
down.
hardest difficulty.
Bad at the
If you
game.
let them get close to you,
Invalid.
there's a good chance you're just fucking
Get
dead.
good.
There's also a
Invalid.
couple boss enemy types, a stalker and just a huge hulking tank of a beast. And those were both decent fights as well, though they are recycled later in the game. Now, if for some reason you're concerned about spoilers, I'll spoil the other enemy faction. It's Chaos. You gotta fight Chaos Marines and some Tzeentch demons, and some Chaos Corrupted Guardsmen, though they're hardly enemy types. You can literally sprint into them and splatter them into blood mist. And that was
Which
a fun
normally is
fight.
like whatever, like things about the game, right? But like,
Yeah.
I guarantee you that he, or at least most of his audience, are the ilk of people that are like, no easy mode for Elden Ring. Make it as hard as possible. Actually, if you don't beat it completely naked with just your bare fists, did you even play the game? So
Yeah.
the fact that I can visibly see him here at the end of the Space Marine campaign getting beat by like fairly simple attacks that are not that hard to dodge, skill issue.
See, that's what I was talking about at the beginning, right? Yeah, and I think me making fun of it at the beginning in the prologue, heresy. I agree, it's heresy. I think that only gives merit to the fact that, like, and he played Space Marine 1 before this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just adds to it. He's just, I don't know. Continue with it. I don't really have much more to say, but he's fucking
Besides the enemy
garbage. Anyways, what I love about the Warhammer level design is that it speaks about how the Space Marines work, and then it just push forward kill shit.
Yeah.
The Space Marines don't do like secret traps; they just walk through.
Yeah.
Right?
They
Yeah.
just continue pushing forward no matter what they encounter.
Yeah. Exactly. So they don't need a bunch of like puzzles and fucking mazes and shit. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
But keep
play
going.
comes from are defending objectives or a certain gimmick for that section of the level, whether it be the jetpack
Okay.
or it be a swarm of rats you need to keep back with a flamethrower,
This
things
level
like that.
sucked.
The objective missions are kind of interesting because this game uses the same engine as World War Z. If you played that game,
made by the same
main
devs.
appeal was
Yes,
it could
it is,
have
yeah.
hundreds of zombies on screen climbing into piles, and you would have to defend an area and blow up the piles
Yeah.
of zombies with grenades. And Space Marine 2 has those sections pretty much one-to-one. The Tyranids will stack on each other just like the fast zombies. And I think seeing hundreds of enemies on screen is still fairly impressive, even if we've seen it a few times by now. But yeah, I think that more or less covers it. I would have liked some kind of gameplay freedom, even if it was just more branching paths, or maybe you could do certain objectives out of order. Any kind of freedom that wasn't walking in a straight line would
Yeah.
have been nice. But given that this game
No, that
is
wouldn't make
designed
any
around
sense.
having a 3-player co-op campaign, maybe it's for the best that you can only go one direction. Now, normally there would be a story section here, but I don't really have much to say about the story. The story reminds me a lot of the Halo games, or pretty much any like 80s sci-fi action movie. And
Yeah,
maybe
it's
that'll
Warhammer.
disappoint some people if you're into the more deep Warhammer lore, or
No,
like
Deep Warhammer lore is just 80s action movies, which he would know if he knew
See-
anything about Warhammer, but he doesn't. so.
See, you know, I think the campaign's interesting in itself, though, and I think it's interesting if you like listen to it. And it's interesting not out of like a I'm gonna cry, this is feely, it's bringing an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
The campaign is interesting because it teaches you a lot about the world, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you learn a lot about Warhammer from it.
It's very,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Immersive.
Yeah, and that's why I love it so much. 'Cause it really immerses you in Warhammer. Like, it's not a fucking roller coaster of emotions. The only emotion I felt there is a hard on for the Emperor. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it immerses you. It immerses you in the world, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Like the books or
Keep
something.
going.
But for me,
The
I was
books or
completely
something.
fine with essentially what felt like a Halo game story, but with a lot more grim dark and very little humor. I think the appeal of Warhammer 40k is pretty obvious. It's almost satire level ultra masculinity. It's all about a never-ending war in a dystopian far future where you and your uber-mentioned bros team up to wipe out the endless demonic and alien hordes. And it's just a fun time. It doesn't really have to be that complex. The only part of the story I really didn't like is that
Hey,
there's
can I
a lot
make
of
a hot take?
interpersonal drama.
What?
I think Warhammer is quite the complex universe, though. Yeah. And I think it's not in the sense of like an emo. I mean, everything's a tragedy. We talked about that the other night, right? But I think how it goes about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real breaks in Warhammer, in like lore-wise, right? Like, it's on to one fuck thing after another, and I think it's why it's complex in its own way. Yeah. You know what I mean, right? I think it can be the purest form of a story or the realest form of a story, right?
It definitely lays the foundation for you to go into things like that.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I love it. As a logical individual, I don't like when the man makes claims as though it's fact when it's simply subjective. True.
That's most of what he does.
True. Yeah. That's most of what he does.
Been around for 40 years. Yeah, there's a lot of. It's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Now. It's kind of just been.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
Also, I think this next take he's about to have is awful.
Oh, for sure.
Between you and your two squad mates, and it really just comes down to Titus not trusting his teammates, which obviously causes conflict, and that's really annoying to see on screen when you know exactly where it's going. It plays out exactly how you think, and it's not really done particularly well either.
Hey,
I also think thematically the story would have been.
So, first of all, I do agree with you. There are some things that I agree with. I don't agree with the campaign thing. And I don't agree with the campaign thing, like what he's saying with the drama thing, because that's what makes it fucking...
Well, so here's the thing, is like, I agree with him that it's not like a surprise, it's not coming out of left field, but it doesn't like hurt the story. It helps fuel the fact that Space Marines are not all one of the same. They're not just robots.
Like I said, it brings the immersion in. Right?
Yeah.
It brings the immersion. That's the
because if you were a Space Marine, if you were like Galadriel, you were here, and this random dude showed up, and you don't know his name, like you barely know his name. He kind of like came out of nowhere, and he's like he's like telling the captain what to do, and he's suspicious of him.
And he's got 4 service studs in his skull, right?
Yeah, he's way older than he should be.
He's way older than he should be. He's been in service for a very long time, right?
You would be suspicious of him.
He's got the Death Watch chain, like...
Yeah, he's part of Death Watch, but then the chaplain has a great interest in him, and then all the chaos stuff starts happening as he comes out, as he, like, shows up.
And then he gets then the weird thing with the chaos, then he's got they learn about the Primaris surgery.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like, it makes sense why it's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, just because it's televised doesn't mean that it's, like, not done well, necessarily. Like, it's not supposed to be a big extreme, it's just supposed to show... that Space Marines are not that incredible. Like, I feel like the game knows that it's not like God of War level storytelling.
Yeah,
I mean, we're live on stream right now.
I beat you to the happy birthday. I beat you to the happy birthday.
Go to twitch.tv/BusterMcTunder. Come. We're making fun of a racist online right now. It's the most fun I've had all week.
Okay, you can all hear me. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Okay, so you both seem to be somewhat Warhammer fans. I'm gonna try to look for your response there, Hudson. Yeah. If you don't think I see it, tag me in the server with the response. Yeah. And then to you, Big T, who's your guys' favorite Warhammer factions? Let's get chatting about this. And like, do you think they're like the most powerful Warhammer faction? An Ultramarine fan? Heck yeah. I think the only one that I can think of, Necrons. Now that is hell yeah. Necrons are I think I love Necrons from the look of them. But I don't know what you call, maybe you guys know this. I don't know a lot about the Warhammer lore. I am kind of I'm sorry, Buster McTunder. Like, what's Nurgle's guys called? Like, what's their faction called? Do you guys know, chat? I know it's just Chaos, but I was... Oh, they're the Plague Marines. My bad. I love the design of the Plague Marines. But Necrons are pretty cool. I am a big Adeptus Mechanicus fan. Yeah, they're the Plague Marines. I don't think the Death Guard is Nurgle, but they might. I love that. Buster McStinky over here is still on the phone. I don't really know what to do to entertain y'all. Any questions? Anything chatters want to talk about? It's all good. I think it's kind of funny. You know, those are always a funny liner. I definitely think any of the Arkham games. Big take here. A lot of people don't agree with me, but Fallout 3 is my favorite Fallout game. I would always recommend Fallout 3. The palette is just better than New Vegas. I just think it's the better game. Fuck. Any of the Ratchet and Clank games. If you're ever somewhere like back, I don't know, have a PS3 around you, I definitely any Ratchet and Clank game. I couldn't tell you which one. Fuck, I don't know. I don't really like. I don't know. Skylanders? But then again, Skylanders is a money pit. I don't really know. I don't really like. I like Lego games and I like Destiny. Yeah, that is my niche as of right now. Yeah, I don't really play a lot of Destiny more these days. Like, I play a lot of Lego games and Overwatch. Yeah, and I mean, Lego games are fun. Wouldn't recommend Overwatch unless you're looking for somebody to play with, and I'll play it with you. Yeah. I don't know. Cyberpunk's good. Fallout 3. I don't know. Sorry for the absolutely horrendous answers. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm back. Thank you, Ben, for taking over the stream for 10 minutes. You guys talk about Fallout?
No, we were talking about recommended games.
Oh.
Yeah, it's games that I would recommend and stuff like that. And I said that I personally, I mean, this Big T disagrees, and I respect that. That I think Fallout 3 is better than New Vegas, but I
have no opinion on either of those games. I kind of just don't like either of them.
Yeah, Kyle doesn't like games that are old.
Yeah, they're too old. They're too clunky for me. I can't play them and enjoy them.
We were talking about favorite Space Marine factions. Yeah.
Okay.
And which kind of woman I'd like to stoop in the 40k universe, and obviously said the Sisters of Battle. So,
I mean, they are the most,
fuckable.
I mean that too, but also they have the most passion behind it,
But as soon as you let Snow,
I'm so used to the Flash Gets cartoons where the characters seem so over the top that this felt a lot more subdued in comparison. There's also quite a few.
Hold on, did he just say that the Flash Gets parody cartoons is where he was drawing his knowledge of Warhammer 40k characterization from?
That's insane.
Imagine watching like The Godfather and Family Guy, and that's your understanding of what The Godfather is.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's where I got my opinion about The Godfather, was in that Family Guy
clip. What do you mean the Space Marines don't act like they do in this parody animation where they murder furries?
And one more thing I gotta briefly mention is the small amount of wokeness in the game, depending on your definition.
What?
Basically, the only left-wing propaganda I noticed while playing this game is the comical amount of diversity. The most offensive being the major of the Cadian Guardsmen, who is an Indian woman. And
first off, she's not Indian. She's Cadian. India does not exist in 40k. She is Cadian. Yeah. Which can be a slew of things, because Cadia is a system of hundreds of dozens of planets. Of those planets, there are trillions and trillions of people. The fact that one of their majors from these trillions and trillions of people happens to be what we consider Indian in modern day Earth.
That's why
there is no reason to have an issue with that. Also, he says the comical amount of woke DI whatever. He doesn't like minority characters. There's two of them. in the entire campaign. There's the Major, and then there's Chiron, who's black. And that's about it. And then I guess the PvE guy, if you want to count that, but he's not really a character. He's just sort of a background actor.
Ugly one at that. Remember, testosterone converts to estrogen. Speaking of estrogen.
Also, ugly woman. I mean, she's basically Anna.
She's not ugly though. I'll defend her. She's not ugly.
That, yeah.
I'd let her dominate me.
Yeah. She's ugly if you're only into like Hatsune Miku women, which, you know, obviously.
Probably. Into body pillows, she's ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're only interested in women is Levi Ackerman, maybe she's ugly.
Yeah, that's something, alright. Can we shoot her? Just stop on her, on accident. If you compare her to the woman from the first game, it's like night and day. And while she really doesn't do much during this...
Hold on.
Yeah, that's something, alright. This game, it's like...
Can we stop on her? Yeah, do you want to know why they look different? Because graphics quality.
Graphics, A. Secondly, the Major is a Major. She's probably 40, 50 years old. The other character is not 50-something years old.
How old is she?
I don't know, but she doesn't look like she's supposed to be old. She looks like she's maybe 30s at the most. Versus the Major is very obviously supposed to be an older woman. So, of course, like, the younger one fits your traditional beauty standards that you have for women set up in your mind. It's like there's more reasons why these characters look different. Like, it's not, did you expect to see a copy and paste?
I don't know either.
Second?
I don't know either. Hold on, before we started, I'm waiting,
because
Big
he's
T.
racist.
I'm waiting for this cult story. I'm waiting.
Okay. I don't think it's ever
And while she really doesn't do much during the story other than yell on the comms throughout the first half of the game, it's just incredibly annoying seeing girl boss characters in this day and age, especially in a supposedly grimdark universe, and the diversity isn't just...
Why? That has nothing to do with it. The grimdark has nothing to do with it. Grimdark doesn't mean fucking racist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what does grimdark mean only men? Like, what is... Can you explain how it being grimdark means it can't be diverse? Like,
I have no idea what's happening here.
Also, like, her yelling, she's the Major. She's giving out orders. Like, that's kind of her thing.
What she does. That's what she does.
It is his narcissistic nature clouds
his
judgment. His racist nature
pause.
clouds his judgment. He is just racist.
Pause.
Bill Clinton carrot.
Dude, hell yeah. There it is. This is awesome. This guy, my favorite fan so far. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've got a few. All in the #1 slot. Looking at you, Hudson. Yeah. But love this guy. Big T, you're a real one. Hope you stick around. Yeah.
But it has never been only men in 40K. It was like that for maybe a total of like 2 years between editions.
Oh, for sure.
There's always been women in 40K from the very beginning. There used to be female space marines, you know?
Like that retconned.
The only reason they retconned it to be only men is because they didn't have any women in their audience. So, like, if you sold female space marines, nobody was going to buy it because they were only selling to, you know, virgin nerd losers in the UK. So it's like
they would buy female space marine. I don't know why they stopped.
I mean, they would, but not enough, you know, because it was gay.
I think they would sell the shit now.
Nowadays, yeah, if they made female, probably not. I'm fine with them not doing female space marines for reasons, whatever, we've talked about it before. But like with like female custodies, yeah. Like now there's lore stuff. Back then there wasn't lore stuff. Then they changed it arbitrarily to make it only men.
I love the Bill Clinton build. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm just thinking about that. That's beautiful. Big respect.
My rabbi, Bill Clinton.
BT.
Yeah.
It's the guardsman. It's also the space marine.
This is a lot of copium.
I'm not an expert on the lore, but I understand.
Again, I'm not an expert on the lore, but let me just say how the lore is wrong.
Yeah.
Understand that space marines come from gene seed, which comes from their primarchs, right? Which comes from ultimately the emperor. So why are all these ultramarines different ethnicities?
So the gene seed affects their physiology very minorly. It does nothing to change their ethnicity in general. It might make them look more like the Primarch, but it won't make them look. It won't change their ethnicity.
None of them are copies of the Primarch.
No. There's no clones like that. Maybe the Alpha Legion, but they like genetically change their faces to all look the same. Yeah. Or like they get surgery to change it. And also,
but he thinks everybody should do that. So
the Emperor of Mankind was born in Mesopotamia.
Which means he's probably a little darker.
Probably not white.
Yeah.
Which he's always depicted as having fairly, like, dark, like, not darker, but, like, tanned skin with black hair. He's not... Okay, he's saying he's half Hawaiian? I didn't even know that was a fucking term. Oh my god. Guy is professionally racist. Also, yeah, there's nothing that says that they can't be different ethnicities. This has been a thing forever. Literally since the beginning.
Thing. It's hard to tell because they all have these weird Giga Chad features. Basically, every Space Marine looks like the Chad meme. So there is one Space Marine that is just straight up undeniably African, which is bizarre. He's corrupted. You can see it on his skin. Either way, you get the point. This has definitely got to be a retcon for diversity purposes. And yeah, I got to say, it definitely distracted me. It wasn't woke enough for me to say, like, oh, this is blatant propaganda, but it's clear to see the Games Workshop is going down a slippery slope. I mean...
The fuck do you mean a slippery slope?
Because it's going to be all woke, man. They're going to do trans...
That's crazy.
The fact that there was a black man in his video game distracted him. It is so unnerving to him that he thought he was about to get robbed. You know, like he straight up could not handle it. 200 plus... What the fuck? Jesus. That is a cult. But yeah, there is nothing about that. It's not a retcon at all. It's just that previous media never shown... It only showed white guys because, you know, obviously a lot of games and stuff have only really used white guys.
What's the tribute? Would you play? What's the tribute?
Weapons.
Oh, nice.
Hello, Nicholas.
Oh, first time catching one of your streams.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
You joined at the great time. We're making fun of a racist.
True.
But yeah, it's the most stupid thing to say, and it's like, it is so stupid with the most basic... Like, you could have solved this with a Google search, because it's been like this since 1993. It has never changed. 83. Like, it has never changed a single time that there are different, ethnically different Space Marines. But technically, the lore was changed to make Vulcan and the Salamanders not black, and instead, like, they're charcoal black that they have now. But technically, all the retcons in 40K have just made the factions less woke.
Yeah.
Ethnicities.
No more women.
What a surprise! Out of trillions and trillions of people throughout the galaxy, there's more than just white.
Women. No more non-white people. This man's got crazy taste.
Yeah. He thinks that a game that has diversity, then by default it's bad. Exactly. If he thinks there's a single... I bet he hates Gears of War. Which is wild. Yeah, he definitely
to my understanding
hates
is
Outlanders.
Use a game as diverse than anybody. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's like a whole different type of brain rot. Yeah. I've gotten down. It's racism brain rot. No, it's bigotry brain rot. Get it right, Kyle. 'Cause he's not just fucking racist. He's sexist too. Right? And I'd imagine homophobic on top of that. So it's just definitely bigotry brain rot. Yeah. True. Vulcan shall find him and hug him. I agree. Vulcan's hugs fix all.
I hope so.
I hope so.
No, Vulcan would probably burn him for hating humanity.
Probably. He's a heretic.
Yeah, that's pretty heretical to be like.
And
putting down
you should get him. You should
brothers.
talk to your co-host, and you should get him on the podcast.
You think we can get him on the podcast? I'll ask him. Unironically, I would love to have him on the podcast.
I think
would
you
love
should talk
to him about Warhammer.
You should talk to your co-host and get him on the pod. Yeah, I would love to watch that episode. I don't know about you, chat, but I think that'd be a really fun episode to watch. Yeah, and then you talk to your co-host to get him on the podcast. I'd love to watch that episode.
If we get him on the podcast. I would love to have him on the podcast and talk about Warhammer 40K specifically.
That would be such a fun video to watch as a viewer.
Why would race even matter at this time of day? Well, because obviously white people are superior, and there should only be white people in the future. Yeah. Obviously,
clip that. Chat.
But you know what I think we should do? We should invite him on the podcast, but we should be like, so we think that like it's Space Marine 2 is too woke for gaming. And we think you should come on the podcast to help us explain why. And like completely bait him into it. Do you think that would work?
True. I think so. I think if we,
I'm black and I find the thought of any kind of infighting as mundane. It is completely they are fighting literally every single cosmic horror you could think of. They do not care nor have the time to worry about the race of another space marine.
I also think racism is just stupid.
It is incredibly
yes.
stupid.
Buster does have a podcast. It's called the Chaos Continuum.
Channel.
It is linked in the channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like racism is inherently stupid. It is inherent. You have to be stupid, and you have to fall for stupid propaganda to be racist to begin with.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I hear people like him, and they're like, "Black people are bad at my video game," and I'm like, "Dude, take the dildo out of your ass and get a fucking life." Like it's insane. I don't know. It strikes a nerve with me, which is why I like belittle people like this.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is why I do not care. Yeah, right. Like if somebody's, but I think my thing is, and I know I probably approached wrong, and everybody's more than tell me that. But the minute that somebody's like says something racist, I just become a complete asshole.
Well, it's valid. Yeah. I don't think they really deserve that respect.
Like one of my one of my buddies was like somebody said racial slurs about my son. Yeah. You know,
it's crazy.
That ended fantastically, by the way. They did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you talking about?
They did.
Oh, you like swallowing teeth? That's all I hear right now. Yeah. I hear you like to swallow your
mouth,
teeth.
And you can shit it. You can shit or spit them out. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways.
It's so fucking stupid.
It's so fucking
There's
stupid.
a female custodes, aka the super space marines that guard the Emperor.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to make a female super space marine, you better fucking believe they're gonna have a female regular.
They're not gonna do female regular marines.
No, they're not gonna do female regular.
I think first of all, it is kind of too hot, and second of all, they have reinforced it. Custodes, they have always been female, and they've always like left that door open. They've only started to reintroduce it as an idea because again, female models just don't sell well unless it's Sisters of Battle. But for the most part, in the past, when they tried to do female Space Marines, they just didn't sell well. So when they started doing Custodes, they didn't make any female Custodes. Until now, they've decided they're going to do it anyways. Now
I think it's a great idea.
Now that the series has expanded and reached a broader audience, and now that they feel positive that they can do it, now that they're doing it.
I think they totally can.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicholas, we have a podcast. I just want to say thank you to Big T and everybody that has joined us today. I know we're not even close to being done. It has been a super fun stream. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has joined.
He doesn't even talk about the multiplayer. He just talks about operations. That'd be fun.
I don't know, but I just want to thank everybody to being here.
Doesn't have kids. Don't know you guys personally. The thought of someone being ugly to your kid grinds my. Oh, trust me, it ends in violence exclusively.
It's every time.
What's wrong with the female Custodes? Nothing. There's not a single lore reason why it would be wrong.
There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with women doing anything. But yeah, here we are.
I mean, that's like the lore excuse. It's not that they're using the Emperor's genes, kind of. It's that the Primarch's gene seed, and they're all male. The Custodes are made individually, so they don't have a gene seed. So Space Marines with the gene seed, that's like an excuse for them to all be male, sure. But I also subscribe to the headcanon that the reason they're all male is because they're all fucking hyped up on testosterone. So even if you did have a woman go into the Astartes program, she would basically just get transified into a male Space Marine. And to me, that makes me laugh the most, and it makes some stupid retard like this guy out there incredibly angry. So that's the headcanon I run by, even though it's not true technically, but it's it works.
Everything is canon. Nothing is true.
Exactly.
This
is a setting where same-sex couples can create child through they can just clone people. This is a setting where the bad guy are 4 demons that just like to fuck around and who don't care. Yeah. This is a setting where the bad guys in the last video game have magic that makes their cars turn into planes by putting a propeller on the front. It is fun.
It's wild. I don't understand where he's going for. Shit's bonkers.
It's fucking. The whole universe is stupid, and being caught up on race is such fucking retarded.
They could put a female's brain.
That is also very true.
They could do that.
The start of Space Marine 2 starts with them cutting off Titus's head and putting it on a brand new body.
Yeah.
Unironically.
It's so dumb. That shit's
in the
crazy.
next couple years.
Hell
yeah. A lot more content and a lot more randomness that keeps it feeling fresh. Playing the same level on higher difficulty settings.
I know we're talking about this Big T. That's a game that I recommend is Deep Rock Galactic. If you're ever looking for somebody to play that with, I don't know, find me, hit me up. I'll play that with you any day, anytime. We're cooked, Chad. I have to stop playing the game. He plays the same class that I play. It's over.
And
It's
he
fucking
plays Black
over.
Templars, obviously. So he's.
It's
You can
fucking
tell
over.
he's.
Do you want to know why he plays the same class? Do you want to know why I think a lot of racist people would play the same class? And it's not because I'm racist. I just like the grappling hook mechanic.
Hey,
It's because
it's not that all Kree players are racist or Nazis. It's a surprising number of them.
Yeah, it's the skull helmet. It has to be. Yeah.
You're onto something. You're unironically on something.
It's the skull helmet. It's the skull helmet. I just realized that when we were talking about it. It's the fucking skull helmet. Yeah.
That might be true. That might unironically be true. Well, he didn't do that.
There's also
he's bad at
PvP, which I didn't touch because I don't really care about PvP in a game like this.
I think he's bad at PvP games. Every $1 I paid towards, I expect an hour back. 67 hours. I mean, that's kind of. It depends on the game, right? I hate this Reddit game. Hey, Spyro, thank you very much.
Hey, hey, Spyro, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat.
Where Superman would break, I feel.
Superman. Injustice, 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 injustice.
Yeah, unfortunately, we would get like edgy Superman.
Yeah, we get
dressed up as a Black Templar. Yeah. Like the dollar per hour thing, I don't really subscribe to because like.
I'll say thank you for Buster. Thank you, Spyro.
God of War Ragnarok, I bought at full price, and then I went and bought the collector's edition afterwards. So I spent like almost $300 on that game. I know, but I only put like maybe 40 hours into it while also platinuming it, and it's like I was totally happy with that. I bought Baldur's Gate 3 times, although I probably have put enough like dollar per hour. But basically, the point being that like.
You put enough dollar per hour on your first buy to buy like 6 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like.
But it's like some games are also not. You're not gonna get that same level of dollar per hour thing. Like with God of War, obviously, I'm not gonna play 200 hours, 300 hours of God of War Ragnarok. But I got more than enough satisfaction out of that game, and I loved it enough that spending $200 on like the collector's edition was not an issue for me.
But
it's very game to game. Like if it's a game that you're unsure of, I get the reasoning behind that. But some games are good enough to not warrant it. Like I would look at something like Senua Saga. That game is 8 hours long. It's also like only $40, but like you're not gonna play the game for 40 hours. You're gonna play it one time and maybe twice on like a replay, maybe two or three times at most, right? Because it's a game that you get the experience once and that's it. But
the best game. Actually, can I give an actual recommendation for a game?
Yeah.
That I'll always highly recommend. Outer Wilds.
That's another one.
Outer Wilds is a game that is the greatest game I have ever played.
It is definitely one of the best indie games.
Rather than, I think it's better than anything. It's an experience that has stuck with me throughout any game, in like the past like 10 years, right? You know what I mean? Or so. Yeah, like I'm like so obviously I've stuck with my childhood like Wii bowling and Little Big Planet, but I would play Outer Wilds, and unfortunately it's a game that you can only play once. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. To get like the full.
Yeah.
There's a DLC once you for it. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, there's a DLC for it. Once you play the DLC, then but I mean like once you play through both those things, it's only.
Yeah, it kind of loses its charm.
Play it once, but the money that you pay for that is worth every penny. Yeah. Right. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I will defend Outer Wild that when you buy that game and you play it for the first time fully, like you want to almost 100% it if you can. Yeah. Yeah. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's an experience that you will never have again.
Trans person worked on it. I don't know if they were trans, but I know it was somebody who was like.
Oh no! Oh, I can't play the game
who was like very LGBTQ+.
I can't play the game now.
They believe that like DEI stuff is important. So a lot of people a year ago were complaining that like the game was going to be super woke, super bit of liberal, super oh my god. But like the game just came out.
Anytime
that person who still worked on this game, it came out totally fine. Like it's not.
Fuck! I can't. We're cooked.
Offensive.
We're cooked. I'm woke now. I'm playing a woke made game.
Horizons.
I've been playing a woke game.
It is somebody that I know people like Synthetic Man would kill if they had a chance, but I don't remember if they're trans or not.
No, it's over. I gotta quit
Buster, you
playing
don't
Space
understand the
Marine.
everyday suffering of a white Christian man, and we must cleanse
We're
this
cooked.
ignorance with this little
We're
book called The
cooked.
Decline of the White. Yeah, it's so they're
We're
fucking
cooked.
stupid.
We're cooked. We're cooked,
I
chat.
think this
We're
game
cooked.
is just simple fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, it feels like a time capsule back to 12 or 13 years ago when every game was sort of like this. But the upside being that this has much better graphics than PS3 era games. Honestly, if you would ask teenage me what games would look like in the future, Space Marine 2 is pretty close to that.
Pause it.
In an era
Pause
where
it.
almost every
Yeah.
If you asked him what games would look like when he was like a teenager, yeah, you'd go, "I hate gay people." That would be his response. Be like,
I wonder if he was less homophobic before he made this channel.
I wonder if he was less homophobic before he got turned down. Yeah, that's a deep
Maybe.
cut.
Yeah, he got turned down by a woman, and a gay man hit on him, and he was like, "No, no way."
Maybe. See, I have a theory about people like this, and it's not me making fun of them. I'm making fun of everybody. Yeah,
Okay, so
and it's only
yeah, he's pretty awful.
and it's only because I met somebody like this once. Yeah, right. And sometimes I wonder if he's so like sexist and homophobic, right? That it's all just a fucking ruse.
Most of the time, it is projection. I believe if somebody tells you that sexuality is a choice, it's because they are gay or bi.
It's because they don't feel like they have a choice. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because they are gay or bi, but they've forced themselves to choose women.
That's what I mean.
So they're like, I chose.
I don't think they forced themselves. I think society has forced them, and they put that.
Well, yeah, they're going along with it. It was
and they're going.
Well, you were just like Synthetic Man. You were super racist and homophobic, Spyro.
Yeah, it's just
streamers are live at my peak operating hour of 3 a.m.
Hell yeah,
it's only 2:40 here, but we stream every Saturday from like, I guess for you it'd be 10 p.m. to like around this time is normally when we end. But I'm still going strong. We're doing.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? That snake thing. That's like a Rick and Morty bit, isn't it? The snake thing, shit. Big T.
You created wrong because you're the wrong kind of snake. Yeah.
I don't know what Hudson's yapping. Hudson's yapping about.
The same thing that happened to Synthetic Man. Synthetic Man, when he started his channel, it was mainly just like video game reviews, and then he said something about woke in one video, and his community latched onto that, and he's slowly gotten worse and worse and worse because he just feeds
that's always been my issue with getting political with stuff, right? Yeah.
What's the difference between getting political and getting roped into something by Nazis that
no,
because you're stupid?
But I'm just regardless, right? But the issue is that he's so entrapped in that. Let's say that he believes the opposite, right? It's like down to his heart, and he wants to talk about, like something like, babe, maybe being woke is okay. He can never do that because he's trapped in there, and he'll lose everything, and his audience will eat him alive.
Is Dead Domain the trans creator? Because I believe I've seen that. Game Pass has so much value now. Yeah. I would buy gold for a year and then buy Game Pass for $1. That was I miss those days.
Oh, I remember those days. Yeah, you buy Game Pass for the year, and
yeah, when it comes to like racism, transphobia, like they are indoctrinated into this kind of thinking. That's why I say you have to be stupid to be racist, because you have to let someone else convince you that people, just because they have a different skin color, are inherently worse or wrong for some reason. That they're gonna eat your dogs and cats. You know, like you have to be retarded. Yeah,
you have to be stupid.
Dead Domain video. I didn't watch it on stream, but we have seen it.
Shall we continue on with this before we get too heated here?
Okay. I mean, this is basically
AAA game.
Hey, Ben, now that Spyro's here, do you want to tell Spyro how the video began?
Spyro, if you're still here, that race is coming. He must be a heretic. Just look at the color of his skin. It was crazy.
Yeah, this guy must be evil because he's black.
That was exactly what he said. It was crazy. I wish you hear Spyro. If you're wondering who Spyro is, a good friend and a longtime friend of the channel. Yeah. We love Spyro. Well, I want to hear his Astro Bot review, so it's important to me that we finish this video.
Isn't the crazy? It's not, but you know, it sets the tone up incredibly well. It's like when we watched Arch, and Arch started with "The Imperial Man is not fascist" in the first
Hey, that was
15 seconds.
fucking wild. That was
Incredibly
wild.
mediocre or full of propaganda or just flat out a buggy piece of shit, at least we have a pretty good game right here. So I think I can safely recommend this game despite the small amount of wokeness with the very weird out of place diversity. Now,
Small amount of wokeness. 2 characters that are POCs.
2 characters. There's a singular woman in my game. It's woke.
Yeah. The out of place diversity. By the way, he's not an expert on Warhammer.
It's woke.
He's
on
fucking
the Astro Bot
stupid.
review. Now again, just like I said in the intro, I do have quite a bit of bias towards 3D platformers, growing up with a bunch of them. Spyro,
Okay.
Crash 2 , Jack and Daxter,
He's a
Ratchet and
Spyro
Clank
fan.
Pause it.
Arsenal.
Pause
Banjo-Kazooie.
it. Pause it. Pause it. Spyro, we're cooked. Spyro, we're cooked. I don't know if you can still hear me,
He
but we're
plays-
cooked, Spyro. We're cooked, Spyro. He plays
Warhammer.
Spyro. He plays Spyro, and he plays the same character that I play in Warhammer. We're fucking cooked. We're fucking cooked, man.
You guys are
We're cooked.
fucked.
We're fucked. We're fucked. We're cooked. Keep going.
Oh, man.
Dewey, Super Mario Sunshine, these are all some of my favorite games of all time. And so finally, after 7 years of no high-budget 3D
He's not a real
platformers,
Spyro
and
fan.
that last one not being that good anyway, I
Spyro
really
would
don't
support
like Super Mario
LGBT
Odyssey for
people.
various reasons that I won't go into here. The last Japanese Sony studio finally has to step up and create the next great 3D platformer, and they actually succeeded. It's crazy. Now, I know the vast majority of my audience doesn't really care for this genre. Most of you are edgelords like myself, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time
Shut the
breaking down the
fuck up.
gameplay,
He hates his
especially
audience,
since this
'cause
video
his
turned out
audience
to be
is
a little
all
bit longer
racist.
than I thought it would be anyway. I guess the important question is, what
Don't care if a game is woke, yada, yada, yada. There is no woke games, right? Like, there are games that have... I mean, like,
Well, I don't know about that one.
there are
Have you
games
played?
that are
Have you?
somewhat liberal and do it in a kind of poor way that represents it in an awful way, but there is no such thing as
I'm
a
just
woke
kidding.
game.
Everything's woke.
No one can be an expert in 40K.
Wait,
I mean, yeah,
what about-
that's also true, but also he's just
Oh.
the opposite of an expert. He is what the anti-woke crowd would call a tourist of Warhammer 40K.
Yeah. He's
Usually
not
they
like
talk
me
passionately
where I'm
about a
creating
game
my
series
own
they've never
faction.
played. Yeah. Exactly.
The only woke game that I can think of is Lego games, and
I
that's
think
because there's
Concord
women.
is maybe
'cause
like
there's
the only
women.
one that's like an actual
Overwatch.
example of
Overwatch. Gears 5 is woke. So true, Spyro or Chill
that.
Sears.
Also, dude, I have so many comments on that
Overwatch.
Gears 5 video I did about how woke Gears 5 is and how it ruined the series
It's woke.
because of that. Because woman.
I don't think you could ruin Gears 5 any worse than it already was.
I'm probably not.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
I hate Gears.
kind of
Hate
3D
Gears.
platformer is this game? Because, believe it or not, there are not all
Little bit
collectathons
that's
where
right.
you explore around these mini sandboxes and pick up all the shiny objects. No, Astro Bot is
Yeah.
a lot more similar to a Mario game, or to a lesser extent Crash Bandicoot, where you go through a series of mostly linear levels containing a bunch of mini secret areas where you can find the various lost bots, puzzle pieces, and even some secret levels. You could basically think of it as somewhere between Super Mario 3D
does look
World
fun.
and Super Mario Galaxy.
It
In
is
fact,
fun.
this has a
I would
lot
play
of
it.
Play
similarities
Astro Bot
to
on
Galaxy.
stream?
It's only missing
Yeah,
the
if you
ability
wanna-
to walk around
can
many
Kyle,
planets. Other
pause
than
it
that,
for a
it's
minute.
incredible.
What's up?
You play Astrobot on stream, I'll like if you I'll like commentate on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can play with you. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just describing what a platformer is.
Yeah, he's sort of platformer.
Yeah.
Because I don't have PS5, so I can't play. I think there's only one.
Don't
game,
worry,
but I'll
Spyro. We
sit and
spent
chat with you.
the first 20 minutes of this video is him explaining very poorly the mechanics of Space Marine 2, and Ben had to stop us every 10 seconds to correct him because he kept getting it wrong.
I did. He got
Incredibly
like
similar.
integral shit
Astro
wrong.
Space, the power-ups and the variety of level
there
themes
not
is what carries this game,
new
definitely, without a
abilities?
doubt. And this game has a certain je ne
There are
sais
abilities.
quoi, or
He just said you don't get abilities, and then he said there's power-ups in level things. So you get
Yeah,
new
there are.
abilities. They're just
You
level,
literally play.
level
I
by
don't want to
level.
split for you. Wait, are you
He
actually
plays
gonna play this?
Kratos, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
you
yeah,
get
you
the
can
axe?
play. Yeah, you get the axe. Plays
What's
Kratos.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be amazing.
It's a good game.
Like,
I think
it
you know
looks
what?
like there's more abilities in the game.
It has. You gotta play it because you'll see why it has my vote for game of the
Is
year.
it full price or is
Yeah.
it?
I don't fucking know, dude. I played it on my friend's PS5.
Okay, I don't know. I
don't
didn't
know
know if it was like a
PS5.
$40 release or if it's a full like $60,
Hell yeah.
$70 game.
I don't think so.
as we would say in certain forums, it has soul. You can tell a lot of effort went into the little details in this game. Again, like an old-style Nintendo game. This really just
Fuck
has
you,
a lot
like
of
a Little
charm.
Big Planet
It's
game.
a very cute game. And of course, you can't talk about this game without talking about the numerous references to old PlayStation franchises.
But aren't the references
and a lot
woke?
that aren't actually PlayStations, but were exclusives at the time, whether it be Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, etc., etc. There's all kinds of little references to older PlayStation
He won't
titles.
mention it.
And while you could say
He
the
won't
memory
mention
are
it
pretty
so
shallow,
far.
and in a way
Probably
they
not.
actually made me sad.
He
because
won't
they remind
mention
me
them.
how much
Still not
gameplay
it.
variety PlayStation exclusives
Still
used to
not
have,
it.
and
Show
how
me
they actually care
Sackboy,
about
you
gameplay
motherfucker.
instead of making these condescending movie games with such morality lessons as be better and let minorities replace you.
He's
What
so
the
mad about God
fuck?
of War. He's
so mad. He's so mad. That's crazy. Let minorities replace you.
What PlayStation game is about letting minorities replace you?
Probably Spider-Man.
Oh, or be
Sorry.
better. He totally did not
Yeah.
understand the morale lesson of God of War whatsoever.
It's the indie game Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom that's also a 3D platformer, so I'm sure that will annoy some people when I get to Best of Worst games in 2024, but yeah, I honestly just think this is a great game. It's definitely not as good as Super Mario Galaxy, but that's also...
It's always sad that like there's this guy who loves cement block with you. There's a guy like this who seems to have this like genuine passion for 3D platformers and these old school style games, but his brain has been broken into like this stupid retarded mess of like the minorities are trying to replace take your job.
Are you making fun of my PS3? It works
Yes,
just fine. That's fuck you, man. That's
Was there needs to walk away from the internet? Yeah. He is very insecure.
I don't
That
know.
is true.
He is.
You can tell.
You know what I
one
hate?
of the greatest games ever made. But yeah,
You know what I hate personally? I hate always this take of it's never as good as Mario Galaxy, and I'm like, we get it, Mario fans. Nothing will ever be good as Mario Galaxy. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It's the New Vegas argument. I'm not saying Mario Galaxy is bad. What I'm saying is that we fucking get it. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like, compare it to anything else. Like, fucking compare it to Odyssey. Right?